Hi, my name is Bill Russell. I'm the mayor for Bauxite, and we're here this morning to talk about our parks and the building of the parks. I really believe that the Parks and Recreation has a very, very vital role in our city. And we're going to pan here in just a little bit, and we're going to kind of give our master plan, what we want to do in the parks here. But I'm here with Matt McNair right now from the Arkansas Parks Department. And Matt, I got a question here for you. Now, how does the Parks Department and the parks in the city, how do they influence the city?
Well, Mayor, the way I see it, you know, in today's world, we're more plugged in than ever, but what we do is we talk to people that we don't live next to. And I think more than any other point in at least recent human history, we don't know who we live next to. And I think with parks, it gives us a good reason and a good place, you know, to and for interacting with our neighbor. It's a place to go where everyone is pitched in to build a wonderful looking place, and everybody can go enjoy it at the same time with their neighbor. And I think that fostering a sense of community is probably a park's most vital and important function. Getting outside and enjoying the fresh air is great, and that is a great benefit of a park, but beyond that, you get to enjoy the fresh air and the beautiful scenery with your neighbor, someone that you live next to and might need to help or might need to help you out one day. So,
you know, with the advent of social media, everybody seems to be locked into that. And so I agree with you. I think it's really important that people get out and mingle with one another and, you know, find out the likes and dislikes and learn to help one another. So there's a lot of advantages to a parks in a community. Now, what kind of what makes a great park and what makes just an average one?
Well, I think that, well, any park can be great if the community enjoys it. But I think the ingredients for a great park are accessibility. You know, is it in a place where people can get to pretty easily? Is it in a neighborhood or near a neighborhood? Does it have adequate parking for everyone in the community if somebody needs to get here in a wheelchair? Does it have a place for those folks to go so they can get out and enjoy the park? It's got trees, it's got a little bit of shelter, but it's got some green space as well. The whole place doesn't have to be totally built up. It can just be a place to go relax and, you know, breathe the fresh air and look at a tree. I think that trails are an important component of the park, especially if the park is a community hub and there's a set of trails or even one trail that leads to the downtown area or that leads to another neighborhood so that people in other neighborhoods can come enjoy it without having to get into a car. That's one thing I think that we miss out on as our towns develop further and further out, as they sprawl out. People that don't have the resources to afford a car, or kids that are too young to buy a car or drive a car. They can't get to a park without getting mom or dad to put them in the car and drive them somewhere. And mom and dad's probably having to work because you can't live on one salary anymore. So if you've got a place where everyone can get out without getting in a car and meet and enjoy the park, I think that makes a really great park.
Yeah. Well, those are some real good points here. And I want the camera to kind of pan around back over in this area here. Matt was talking about the importance of greenery, space, trees, and resources. Now we've got 15.6 acres here in Bauxite, and Matt talked about trails, and we've got trails that can go back behind the woods. We've got woodsy area back here, and trails is a very big part of what we want to do here in the town of Bauxite. And and also we've got a place for kids. We want to have parks are very important for kids. I know when I grew up, I spent a lot of time in the parks and around the playground equipment and what have you. We used to play baseball, we used to play basketball, and a lot of things. And I really like what you were saying about the community coming together, interacting with one another. I think is vital. And so when businesses and people invest in the community, I think they ought to look at parks as being part of their plan for their investment, investing in the community and being a part. And that's one thing we want to do here in the town of Bauxite is, we've got some plans for and we have plans right back over in this area, back over here, to put a bread oven back here, and an amphitheater so where people can cook and eat out. And we've got a pavilion back in here, and we want to put another bigger pavilion in here, because I think that's what is really important, especially with the way the food supply is. You know, a lot of it's hybrid, and we've got a lot of chemicals involved in it, and it doesn't have the nutrients that it used to have. That we support local farmers, and local growers, and local producers. And so one of the themes here of this park is to be able to build a pavilion where producers, local producers, could come in and sell their produce and food, and a place where people can come and I don't have anything against Walmart and Kroger's and all these in grocery stores, but there's something about good, wholesome food that is grown right here in Arkansas. That's one thing. Another thing we want to really promote in our parks. And we want to build a pavilion big enough so we can have producers, local producers, come in and take part in what we want to do in Saline County and also in Bauxite. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Bill Russell, the mayor for Bauxite, and continuing our segment on the Bauxite parks, I'm with Vernon Williams from GNet Engineering, a well-respected firm for putting parks together through the state of Arkansas. And Vernon has helped us put together a master plan for our park system. We have 15.6 acres in Bauxite in which we're building a park for not only the residents but for the Bauxite community and for Saline County. And Vernon and I, we're going to talk about the plan. He's helped us put together a plan here. And the first section I want to talk about is what we have planned is to put in an orchard, a you-pick orchard for the residents of Bauxite and the community, where they can come in and we're going to have different kinds of, fruit trees and blueberries and what have you. And it's kind of an offshoot of the community gardens, and we went with this in lieu of the community gardens. But right here is the layout. We have 15.6 acres right here. I don't know, Ryan, if you can get that or not, but this is the outline of what it is. And right up here is Border Street, and this is the front of the park. Now the layout of the park is, this is the front section, and back in here we're going to have another entrance to the bottom side of the park. Now there's some flat land in here which we're going to put a pavilion in, and we're going to put a what else we got down there? We're going to playground. We're going to have a playground down there, and it's going to be part of the park right here. And in between, now this up here is terraced. I mean, the land goes up and down, and it's pretty hilly. But this is a flat land here with another entrance back into it off Border Street. And up here is the main part of the park. And Vernon, let me ask you this: what do you see good about this park that will be different than a lot of the other parks?
Well, what I see in that I like about Audubon Park is just the gorgeous piece of property that you have. It's 15 acres. It's in a beautiful natural setting. It's a great set of bones, or a great framework for us to go in and build a little piece of nature with lots of different uses on it that all parts of the community can use. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about parks, is that they touch so many people in the community's lives, from little toddlers playing on playground equipment up to senior citizens who are trying to walk trails and to maintain their health, and just gets everybody in between. One other really nice feature about this piece of property that we found as we've explored it is that there's a pretty good network of existing trails that are in place that we would like to enhance, and that's part of the reason why we've trying to put this back entrance into the park, is to kind of utilize the existing park that people are familiar with up on Border Street, with that can serve as one trailhead, and then we can put this other parking lot at the other end of it to kind of provide another trailhead and give people a destination. If you're not in as good a shape, you can walk from the upper end down to the lower one. If you're looking for something more strenuous, you can try and walk from the lower one up to the high one. I think it makes the use of that trail so much better, and makes it where a broader part of the community can utilize that.
We have an opportunity to put a lot of different trails in here. We can have a historic trail, and we can have a different trail that emphasizes a certain part of the community. Yep. And that's the thing about our park here, is that there's so many different things that, as far as history goes, and nature lovers. And we can have even a trailway that emphasizes birds, and just different things like that.
Well, Mayor, I'm kind of glad that you bring up the idea of having options, because one thing that I really don't like about the term master plan is it kind of gives the impression that everything's planned out and that we know exactly what we're going to build. And what this master plan really is more of a starting point for us to go out and interface with the community, figure out what they want, put our ideas and their ideas on paper, up against costs associated with those. And it's really not a document that's ever finished. I think a master plan is just a collection of ideas that we want to go back and we want to update as we get new ideas ourselves or from the community. And it's just kind of a place, almost like a scrapbook, where we can put our ideas together, so we can share our ideas with the public, and they can see what they are, and then we can take their ideas and add them to ours.
Now we've put together some just general ideas, like you say. What we have is a starting point. I'm sure the public will have, in the town, will have some other ideas, but we want to share what we've got right now. Like we said, we have an orchard about anywhere from ½ acre to an acre over here. And then we have a proposed basketball court right here. And up here we have an amphitheater, we have a bread oven, which we can use, people can come in and cook and have gatherings over in here. We have two different pavilions that we have planned. One of them right here, right next to the horseshoe pit we have. And this pavilion here, we want to have a decent size where we can, one of the, even in our mission statement, this is about health and wellness. And we want to attract people from the markets, farmers markets. We want to promote local farmers, and this is a place where they can bring their produce and we can buy and sell. And we want to have a good sized pavilion up here for that. And then we got two pavilions down here, and possibly I talked earlier about it being terraced, and maybe an overlook is what we're planning right across back in here. And then we have a system of trails that will lead all the way back down to this park down here. And so we have an opportunity to do a lot of different things with our park. And we've got a starting point, but there's so much more that we can, ideas that we can put together and add to this.
And you bring up another good point when we're planning this, something that we need to keep in mind. I mean, every facility that we put it out here at the park, it doesn't have one intended use. They need to be multifunctional, you know, using a pavilion for a farmer's market, you know, using a parking lot for some activities, and in addition to parking cars. We need to have an eye for making all the facilities as flexible as they can be, so the bigger, largest group possible of citizens can use those.
Great.
And you can do all kinds of different activities out here. If it's a swap meet in the parking lot, if it's an Easter egg hunt, a different time of the year. You know, parks are about kids getting out and exploring and learning about new things, and it's important that, you know, we don't define what they do at the park, that, you know, we give them an option to go do what they want to do, and incorporate flexibility in all of that.
And then one thing we want to incorporate in our plan, and we really haven't talked about much, is security for the park. And that would be a primary expense, a primary vision for the park is security. And I've had a lot of people ask me about that. But I think that we have an opportunity in Bauxite to really build something really good for the Bauxite community, for the schools, for Saline County. And we have a beautiful place to do it, and we really, really want to emphasize and use what we've been given. So I want to thank Vernon, GNet Engineering for helping us put this together. They've been a big help for the town of Bauxite, and so we're grateful for that. And that's all we have for right now. And Mike Brumley has brought up some good points here. Mike is going to be the parks director for the town of Bauxite and for this park, and he's got several things that he brought up that was really good.
Well, the park, it currently has a history. I mean, the Indians used to stay up here so they could see approaching tribes as they came up from the bottom of the top of the hill. And also, there used to be, during Prohibition, there was a whiskey still holler where they used to make whiskey down there. And the park has a history. We want to give it a future.
It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.